All right, we dealt with how to convert from percents to decimals, percents to fractions, and vice versa. Now we're going to talk about percent proportions. So this is more solving questions about percents. What's really important to remember is this proportion right here. Is over of equals percent over 100. So if you remember part of our whole equals percent over 100, that's of course fine. But as you'll see when we go through these, whatever number is with is, that goes on top. Whatever number is with of goes on the bottom. And on the other side, the percent goes on top. Whatever number is the percent, and 100 goes on the bottom. So let's use that with the very first one. 50%. So right away, I know 50 goes here, and always 100 goes here. So this never changes. This is always 100. So I could go ahead and just write 100 on all of these, because I know that's what's going to go there. So 50%, so I put 50 on the top above the 100. Of 40. So of 40, that means 40 is the whole, so I put it on the bottom. Then it says is what? So we don't know what the is. So that's where we put our X. Or you can put it N or A or B or whatever letter you want. So now we have it set up. And the way we solve this, I think we've done these before. We cross multiply. So 100 times X is 100X. 50 times 40 is 2,000. And then we divide both sides by 100. And we get 20. And I will tell you, there are other ways these can be solved, but it's not always easy to see when it will and won't work with those other methods. So this method works with all of them all the time. So I'm going to stick with this method. If you figure out other ways and it's correct, that's okay. But I'm just giving you a warning. The reason that we teach it this way is because it will work with these type of problems every time. Whereas some other methods are a little trickier as to when you use it and when you don't. So 20 is. So 20 is. So put the 20 on top. 50% of what number? So of what number? We don't know the of. Now you may have noticed this is actually the same as the one we just did. This is just showing you how this can work. This method works whether you don't know the part, you don't know the whole, or don't know the percent. So you can use this method no matter which of these three is the variable. So we cross multiply 50 times X. 20 times 100 is 2,000. Divide both sides by 50. We get X equals 40. So 20 is 50% of 40. Okay, now what percent of 40 is 20? So of 40, 40 goes in the bottom because it's the whole, is 20. 20 is the part to the is, so is over of, and we don't know the percent. So we do 40 times X. 20 times 100 is 2,000. We divide both sides by 40. And you get X equals 50. And you should put percent with this answer because that's what we're solving for. It won't always say that in the as a heading. But when we're solving for what's above the 100, we have to put percent with the answer. Now, worst I'll count off if you forget the percent is probably just 1 point. But no reason to lose points for just forgetting to put the percent. Okay, now some actually different problems. So I'm going to go ahead and just put 100 here because I know it always goes there. 75%, so I put 75 right there. Of 30, so of goes on the bottom because it's is over of, is what? So we don't know the is. Okay, so we're going to cross multiply 100 times X. 75 times 30. Let's see, it's going to take me a second. 75 times 30. 2,250. And we divide both sides by 100. And we get 22.5. Okay, 68 is. So I know 68 goes here because it's is over of equals percent, which is 34, over 100. So I don't know the of this time. So I'll cross multiply 34 times x, 68 times 100. We divide both sides by 34. We get x equals 200. So 68 is 34% of 200. Okay, what percent? So this is where the x goes. We know 100 goes here. Of 54 is 12. So of goes on the bottom, so it's the whole. Is goes on top, so it's the part. So we cross multiply. 54 times x equals 12 times 100. So we divide both sides by 54. And I will let you use calculators on this, just so you know. You get 22.2 repeating. I don't know if we've used this very much, but just a reminder, that means that number repeats on and on forever and ever. And what did I forget? Percent. 22.2 repeating percent. Number 4, 22% of 80. So 22% of 80, that goes on the bottom, is what? So 100 times x, 22 times 80, I think that's 1760, but let me check. 80 times 22, yeah, 1,760. We divide both sides by 100. We get x equals 17.6. Okay, number 5. We know 100 goes here. 72 is, so it's the part, it goes on top. 90% of what number? So we don't know the of. So 90 times x equals 72 times 100. Can divide both sides by 90. I think that's 80. Yeah, 80. All right, last one. What percent of 80? So what percent of 80 is 16? There's the part, there's the whole, is over of. We cross multiply. 80x equals 1600. Divide both sides by 80. And you get 20%. I remembered percent that time. Okay, one very brief thing I want to tell you. Technically, when you cross multiply, the things that are on top keep their side. In other words, technically, I should put 16 times 100, put 1600 on the left, 80 times x, since the x is on the right. Whatever's on top keeps its side. It doesn't matter with these problems really which one you put, because it is an equal sign. There are times later in math when it will matter which side you put things on, and I'll certainly warn you if and when we get there. But for this, I just chose to always put the x on the left. It's fine if you put the x on the right. You can still solve the equation just the way we've been doing it. But technically speaking, you always let what's on top keep its side. But for these problems, it doesn't matter. You can do it either way.